Right. Welcome to the second class. So today we are going to be stepping into SQL for data analysis properly. In the last class, we looked at how to create databases, how to populate data. We try to explain the idea behind SQL itself. Then we created a practice database, a dummy database. We took the time to explain what schemas are, how to create columns, data types, constraints, and stuff like that. Um, those things they are extremely important to know, and that goes for everyone that is using SQL. Whatever you are, a data analyst, a data scientist, a backend engineer, whatever it is you are, you need to understand the fundamentals, the basics of database creation. I mean, it makes sense because um, if you don't know how databases work under the hood, like how they are created, how they are set up, the very little details, it is going to like be very difficult for businesses, organizations to trust you with their database. So regardless of whatever you want to use SQL for, as long as you are going to be working on or with a database, I feel like it is required that you understand the basics of database creation and all of that stuff. However, it's not something that you're going to be doing. Um, I think, in my experience, you're not going to be doing that on a day to day. You might not ever even do it at all because database is created these days usually by backend engineers. So it's not something that you're going to ever do. And usually, if you're learning SQL for data analysis or data science, the data is already there before your service is even needed. So the fact that they need your service in the first place means that they already have a data set that is already sitting in the database. So the bulk of the job for data scientists and data analysts using SQL is to actually query existing data sets. You go into a database, you query it to help the business um, learn about whatever is going on with their products or within the organization. So today's going to be the first day that we step into actually what data analysts and data scientists use SQL for. So and that is actually data querying, how to query databases. And we're going to be starting off from the absolute beginning. We're going to be looking at his name is querying databases. And today we are going to actually be looking at the the three most important aspects: the select from and where. Right? Select from and where. Those are the three things that we're going to be looking at today. And they form the background for every other thing that we're going to be looking at. Moving on. Right. So what are these things, and how do we use them? So for the sake of this class, we are actually going to be using a practice database, which is the Northwind database. Actually, you can, if you do not have this does not come with MySQL. It is actually Microsoft SQL Server sample database adapted for MySQL. I actually just like it a lot. So if you need it, all you have to do is go online, search Northwind database MySQL. Then you're going to see a lot of GitHub repos where this database is available. If you click on them, you can directly copy the query, the syntax, or you can just download the .sql file, move it into your workbench, then run the whole thing. That is if you do not already have Notebook, but it is like a very simple step to follow. And another thing I must point out is that there are several variants of this. two. I particularly know two. So if you are not getting the exact output I'm getting in terms of the content of the rows and columns, it will not be that you are wrong. It is because not knowing that's different variants. So if that is something that you're experiencing in the course of this lecture, you probably want to go online again and download another Notwin from another link. So that would usually make sure that we get this. And if I can, I'm going to link this one that I'm using. I'm probably going to link it um, in the description if there is a description. So yeah, let's get into it. So whenever we are creating a database, we use these three. I call them the big three, the three most important SQL clauses, which is select, from, and where for querying data. And like I mentioned earlier, we are going to be using this Notwin database. So we are assuming that we work for this company called Northwind, and you know they have a lot of things going on for them, and this is the entire database here with all of these tables that are connected together. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be answering some questions while we learn what these two guys do. So generally, what does select do? Select is like the baseline, the thing that you are really required to write. For example, let's say I want to use let's say the first question that we're taking is we are saying use uh SQL to, nobody ever does this though, to return the sum of 67 and 45. So we want to do 67 plus 45. So in SQL, you cannot just go on and say 67 plus 45. It is not going to run. So if we try and run this, we look at our action area. It says you have an error in your code, check the manual. Usually, whenever you have this type of error, it means that what you are doing is syntactically wrong. Like this is not a thing that you can do in MySQL. So how do we solve this? And this is to show you what select does. So if I say select 67 plus 45, then I end this query because it's a good thing to do. Then I run it and I get 67 plus 45 was 112. So basically, some people would think, oh, select is what we use to pull columns. While that is true, it is not entirely true. Select is like the fundamental thing, that thing that you must write. It is the barest minimum that you must do for any operation that you want to do in SQL. So let's say I want to return today's date and time. The way I would do that would be select. The function for that, we are going to get to function pretty much in our next class, but I should say now and run this. The same error from earlier, but if I should come here and say select now and I run this, I get 10:25:05:02 at 9:03 in the morning. Right. So, like I said earlier, select is the basics. But what is the real application of select? The real usage that we have for it is to actually pull columns from a table. So, for example, let's say we want to write a query, we want to return, we don't need to say write a query, we want to return the first name, last name, and the first name, last name, and country of our employees. So now this is the way we structure it. This is question 3. So structure it is we say select. Now all of the columns that you want to return will go into the select, but usually the very first thing you do is you do your schema inspection, right? That is if you don't already know the database in and out. So in this case, I see that there's an employee table, so I'm just going to click on that and I'm going to get this information beneath so I can drag this up a little bit. And right, I can check. So I see that inside employees table, I have last name, first name, and I have, do I have country here? I do, I have country here. So all I have to do is say select exactly the way it is written here. Last name, so I say select first name, last name. Um, to be honest, this is easy. Secure is easy for the most part. So country, from, and what goes into the from is the table name. This is the table name associated from employee. Now, don't forget the structure is in the select. The column name goes into the select. The table name goes into the from. So if I should run this, what do I have? I have all of these names and the countries that they are from coming from our database. Right. So very easy. We can do return all the information available about our employees. This is basically saying return all columns. So like return all the columns available. So you see we have all of the columns, and I mean there are quite a lot. So one thing I could do is start typing everything: employee ID, first name, last name, each one of them. But that would be bad. I mean, if you have the patience to do that, cool. But if not, it is a bad thing to do. So what you want to do is you want to say star. So star in SQL means all. So you say select star. I mean, star in usually majority of programming languages I know means star. I don't know many programming languages though. So yeah, select star from where? From employee, right? And we run that. If we click OK to run, we see all of the columns here, first name, last name, title, the title of courtesy, birth date, and every other thing that is available here. So yeah, that is the way that works. And if you notice the pattern already, you're going to see that majority of everything that we've been pulling, well, in these two examples, we've been pulling everything. That is, whenever we run a query that is just select and from, usually what we are doing is we are returning every single record. I don't mean columns, I'm like row, every single row in that table. That is, you're just getting everything back. But usually, and which is like in majority of the cases, you have conditions, you have context to what you want to return. For example, I just want to see male employees, I just want to see female employees, I just want to see employees that are in the United States. I want to just see employees that are older than this age, stuff like that. So that is where the clause where comes in. So we use where to insert conditions, to add conditions to what we're doing. So how does that work? I could say 5, and that's going to be, let's take this fifth question. I'm going to say return. This is wrong. Right. So I'm going to say return the names, return the first name, last name, and title of employees living in the US. So now, like I said earlier, first thing is the select, and what goes into the select, the column names that we're interested in: first name, last name. Another thing that we are interested in is the title. So we say title, and that's going to be from where is that? That's going to be from employee as usual. Then there is a condition. We just don't want to see everybody. We only want to see employees in the United States. So we say where what? Where country. So you go where country equals, then in quotes, want to add US. It could be any quote. It could be single quotes, double quotes. I just really prefer double quotes. So you can run that and we see. Well, great. We have this output here. But one thing that I always advise people to do, especially on the job, is probably want to add country. That thing that you are using as the filter here, you probably want to add it in your list of columns so that you see, that your output is correct. But this is not something you want to do in interviews or in technical assessments or in lead code, Akarang and stuff like that. This is going to fail you. So this is just like an eye test thing that okay, I'm actually getting the result that I intend to get. So if I run this, we see that all of the output here is USA. All right. So let's take the next one. And the reason why this is in quote is because the data type for country here is varchar. So I know you already know this from, you should already know this from database creation class. So, varchar has to be in quote, date time has to be in quote also. Every other thing is without quote. So six, let's look at another one. We say return the order ID, order date, and right cost. Right cost of all orders shipped to the United States, shipped to France. So France. So if the order was sent to France, we want to return the order ID, the order date, freight cost of those orders. So let's check. Do we have anything like order ID, order date, and freight cost inside the employee table? No, we don't. Right? This table is just about employees. So we need to look for a table that says something about order. So there's a table called order details. Let's check. Does it have order ID? Yes, it does have order ID. But does it have order date? No. This is not our table. Let's keep searching. Product does not have that. And well, there's sales order. Let's check that. Well, okay, great. So it has order ID, it has order date, it has freight, does it have country? It has ship country. So we found our table. Good. That's good news. So we say select order ID, order date, right, right. And another thing that is what mentioning is the way the question comes. I'm just one like coming up with the questions. The way the question comes there does not have to be the way you pass in those columns here. For example, I'm calling this column freight cost in the question. The important thing is the way the column is written in the table. So the way it's recorded in the table. So it's recorded as freight, then country is recorded as ship country. We want to add this because we want to see the outcome. Again, this is usually going to be a problem if you are taking an assessment or you are on lead code and other platforms where you practice SQL queries like that. So say return the order ID, order date. Yeah. From where? So let's check the name of the table. It's from sales order. So it's from sales order. Then we can see where what's the condition? Order has to be shipped to France. So we say where ship country, because again in France, say France like this. Then we can end that and we can run this and see. So we see that all of the outputs here, they are France. They are sent to France. However, another thing that we could look at is cases of multiple conditions, right? Let's add that. Or before we do that, let's look at some simple stuff. So we can return the order ID, order date, right, and ship city. Sorry, ship city of freight, of orders with freight above of others with freight above $90. Let's say 90 like this. So we want to see all of this information for freight above $90. So we say select and we go order ID, order date, freight, ship city, very easy from sales order, extremely easy, where freight is greater than 90. And the takeaway from here is that we're not putting quotes here, and this is, greater than. This is something that you already know, like from just taking basic maths class. So we see freight greater than 90 in each of these cases, and that is how you do you filter integers, even if it is decimal, float. That's how you do that. So let's see how you can work with something like date. So you can say return the order ID, order date, ship name, ship date, and freight cost of orders shipped in the first in the first shipped in December 2016, something like that. So firstly, let's check. So let's ship date. I just want to check. I'm coming up with these questions off the top of my head, so I want to check if we actually have year 2016 as a year in the database. So it says table not win dot employees doesn't exist. When you get an error, this is like our first error. The first thing you want to do is you want to ignore all of these things. These ones, you know, this part here, you want to ignore it. Then you want to come to this place. It says error code 1146 table not win dot employees doesn't exist. So I mean, it makes sense. It means we are writing employees here. However, um firstly, this is supposed to be employee. Another problem is our ship date is not coming from employee, but you are going to see if I should remove that and write employee and we run this again, we're still going to get another error. It says unknown column ship date in field list. That is, this is fields, another name. You know this generally, that another name for column is field. Now, ship date is in sales orders table and I'm calling it from employees, so that is not correct. Gonna come here and say from shipped date from sales order. Sorry, from sales order. So if we run that, we get the list of 2006. So this starts from 2006. I'm guessing it goes to around 2008. So we modify this to say December 2006. Perfect. So to run that, let's just modify this code. So we want to return order ID, want to return order date, ship name, ship date, and right from sales order. And the condition is that the order must be shipped in December 2006. So in that case, we use between. So we say where shipped date, shipped date between. So the first day of December 2006, and that's going to be in quote. So we say 2006 12, that is the month, 01, and 2006 12 31. Perfect. Oops. So if we run this, let's see. So we have this output showing where's the ship date? Yeah, ship date here. So we see first order was shipped on the 3rd of December. Then if you check all the way, you're going to see that the last one is 31st December. So we use this between and for date ranges, for filtering based on date ranges. Let's say I want to see for a particular day. For example, this Boxing Day. This one that was shipped Boxing Day. So let's take that as query number 9. So we can say return all the information about orders shipped. Return all the information about orders shipped on Boxing Day. Boxing Day. So that is 9, right? So how do we do that? We are going to say select all the information means all the columns. So that select star from sales order. Say where ship date equals just your normal equals, so 2006 12/26. So this is us saying it has to be on Boxing Day of 2006 because 2006, right? So we are going to run this and we should get our output. And the takeaway here is I want you to see that your normal equals, something equals a date, it's going to just return for a single date, like one particular day. But if we want to get date range between this and this, between that and that, we use between, right? So let's take the last one, and in the next one we are going to be looking at case of multiple conditions. We're going to say return the we're going to say return. There's product table here. Product table is perfect. So we're going to say return product ID, category ID, unit price, and product name of all products with more than 10 units, with less than 10 units in stock. 10 units in stock. So we're going to say select product ID, category ID, unit price, product name from product where units in stock is less than 10. So if we run that, we get our output. Okay, there is no such product with less than 10 order in stock. So I'm glad we are getting this output. Meaning, whenever you see this, it does not mean there's a problem usually. Actually, in some cases, it could mean there is a problem, but majority of the time, it means that the condition that you are passing in, none of the record fulfills that condition, right? So, for example, if we should bump this up to like 100, I mean, if this should return an error, then we probably know that there's an issue. Or empty. Oh, okay, okay. So let's actually check. Or firstly, let's reduce this before we go check. It will mean that they have very nah. This is interesting. Let's go. let's remove the condition and add units in stock here just to see why we have such issues with that. So units in stock is null for the most part, like null. The whole thing is null. So let's use I don't know, maybe use unit price. You see, is less than $10 unit price. So unit prints, that's the word. So unit price. So come here, remove this, come all the way down here to where unit price less than 10. So if we run that, we get just for unit price less than 10. So that is how you get started with querying databases in SQL with select, from, and where. And everything that we've looked at today is just the absolute basics. We're taking one condition. We saw how to filter with a voucher. We saw how to filter with integers. We saw how to filter with single date value, and we saw how to filter with date range. And we saw that select is the basic thing, the fundamental thing that you must write whenever you want to perform any activity in SQL. And also another thing that it does is whenever you want to pull data from the database, you must put all of your column names in the select. Your table name goes into the from, and your filter, the condition that you want to pass in, will go into the where. So with that said, let me give you something to work on basically. So the exercise that I hope you do is one, I'm going to write a query that returns the name, the first name, last name, and title of courtesy of employees living outside, sorry, living in the UK. In the UK. Then second one is going to be write a query that returns the order ID, the EID, and ship country of orders shipped later than required. Right. So take these two exercises, and I hope that is going to help solidify what we've learned and covered in this video today. So thank you. See you in the next one. Bye.